Hello, and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 43 for the week of May 21st, 2018. I'm your host, Zane Gray. With me is Dalsson.
It's me.
And Thel.
Again.
I'm also here.
So I apologize for my audio in advance. I'm still in the process of moving into a new apartment, so my studio is a little messed up right now, audio-wise. Hopefully it's not too bad, but we'll see. Should be better next week.
I'm always concerned and confused as to how it's possible to burn coffee and tea. Because it's mostly water, and I think well, how the fuck can you burn water? And then I do it anyway, and I'm just oh, well, that's how apparently.
That's how you burn
certain
water.
That you're just not using over roasted coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I don't fuck it up, it tastes fine.
I see.
But when I do, no, you can tell.
I see.
I'm gonna put that down right there for right now.
That's why I stick with alcohol. You can't burn alcohol unless you are supposed to.
If you burn alcohol, it catches fire.
I'm pretty sure you can still burn alcohol.
It'll catch fire, yeah?
Yeah.
No, I mean you can.
You can't. You
You
burn
can
alcohol,
boil it,
probably.
and
Yeah.
you can still boil it until it catches fire. From
Right.
the other direction.
You know.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about the games and movies we've checked out, and head into some video games and movie news, of which there is some.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
The game started, so we got some movie stuff happening.
Oh, good.
Yeah, apparently all sorts of drama happening at Canes.
Nuts.
Already.
I wouldn't say it's abnormally dramatic, but it's Canes, and Canes can be a little bit dramatic.
I heard about that walkout thing.
Again,
What did they do?
That's pretty normal for Canes.
Oh, well, we'll
Okay.
hear about it later, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a time schedule for talking about the walkout in Canes. We have to stick to it.
We'll all walk out.
All right,
Unlike
well,
Lars von Trier, who doesn't give a shit. All right. I'll start about the things that I have done. I'm just gonna go in chronological order to what I saw, except I'm gonna switch two things because I'm gonna talk about one thing last because it's something that multiple people of us have seen, as in two. The first thing I saw
As in not
was...
me.
What?
As in not me.
It is. It may just maybe not be you. Possibly. There's a slim chance. The first thing I saw is Ready Player One, and unfortunately, I'm gonna be boring over here and just be it's pretty much just like everyone else said. It's okay. It's not bad. I wasn't
it was
killing
aggressively okay.
Aggressively.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I feel while I was watching the movie, especially near the end, I was you know what? They did a good job to get Spielberg to direct this movie, to direct it as though it were one of his 80s family adventure films. Because I feel that's what it needed. It needed a little bit of Spielberg or a little bit of Zemeckis because of the fact that it's constantly referencing those. So if it sort of feels like that, it sort of works a little bit better.
I feel like there was no better way to do it. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. If it were in the hands of someone else, if it were in the hands of Ron Howard, for instance, it probably would have been really fucking trash. And then the aggressiveness of the constant references would have sort of got in the way, and it didn't very much in this movie. I felt it sort of near the beginning, but then it cooled off.
Yeah, I really felt
Yeah.
And I was saying this when I had first seen it a while ago, in that if you were forced to sit there and read their lines, read what they were saying exactly, then it came off way worse than hearing it for 10 seconds.
Yeah, and not only that, I was thinking while watching it a little bit that wow, Ernest Cline must just be the worst to spend time with. He must be just insufferable. But
that's the writer of the book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and I feel like it's a lot better near the end because it's in the beginning they make all of these references, and in the end, like, these references work because it's like they were already references in the beginning and now they're plot points. Like the Iron Giant thing. It's like, oh, you got an Iron Giant? Yeah, I was an Evangelion in the book. Oh yeah, we couldn't afford the rights. Oh, okay. Cool. And then it comes back later in the movie, and it works pretty good. There was a part that I actually really, really did like. If there was one thing that I could say I really, really liked about the movie, is that there was one little part in the end of the movie. There's a character that has, like, in real life, is like a scar on their eye. And, like, in the final battle, they get a scar on their eye to look of, like, the scar on their eye that they're really insecure about in the real life. This is great.
Was it
a little thing?
Am I thinking of a different, like, I haven't seen it, so I might be thinking of a different thing, but wasn't there one of the characters that like rolled a randomly generated avatar that looked somehow randomly generated to look exactly like himself?
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe
I know what it was. Sword Art Online. It was Sword Art Online.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, so a different piece of media trash. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. A different piece of media trash.
Okay, so there's one part that I was super curious about your opinion on.
Okay, hit me with it.
Without going into spoilers, how did you like that middle part? The second key.
Oh yeah, the second key. It was fine. I didn't have, like, any problems with it. It was the yeah.
I kind of liked that part. It was probably my favorite, like, section of the movie.
Huh.
Yeah. It was basically a big section that was a reference to a movie, but yeah, it was one of those things where it was
reference is almost putting it lightly.
well, yeah, reference. By reference I mean they have to go through the movie, like, physically.
In order to find the second key, you must first enter in the Swamp of Peril, but beware the temple guards. Next, you will move to the Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
It was basically that, except replace Swamp of Peril with and next, you will have to go through the Swamp of 2001, A Space Odyssey. Be careful of Iron Man, the guard. Then you will have to go through the Goonies.
Okay, fair enough.
Quick, do the truffle shuffle.
Yeah, but you will need to perform a perfect truffle shuffle. My favorite parts were all of the like the real life segments with, like, the guy who created it. I really liked all of that stuff. Just like the little glimpses we got into the creator of this game's life. Those were wonderful. He was my favorite character.
See, I thought you were talking about
the real life stuff, like with
with the main character, and those were some of the worst parts of the movie. But yeah, with the creator guy, those were pretty good.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna go into real spoilers, except this is like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, that's in the movie. I'm pretty sure there's straight up the line in this movie, "Welcome to the Resistance." And that was,
I don't remember if that was an actual line, but I feel like it could have been.
Swear to God it was. I maybe I could be wrong though.
I don't know. There was definitely a scene where it was very much like,
it was very much like,
that
oh,
could
okay,
be what's
that's
happening right now.
Well, all right. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, me too. These guys can go fuck themselves, but
I thought the action sequences were pretty good. That was probably the best. Part
they
of
were
the movie, really.
they were a little bit like all of the real life stuff was as low down as it needed to be. It's like the action scene in the end was like a car chase where they crashed into each other a little bit, and that was fun.
Oh no, I mean the in
the Oasis, yeah.
That was some of my favorite parts of the movie was just because some of the action scenes were just so over the top, in the best possible way.
They had to have been.
That car chase right at the beginning was like next level.
Yeah. And
it was kind of like
that was like
Death Race, right?
Specifically, like the Death Race scene and all of that stuff. That was one of those things where I sat there thinking, I had to do that whole suspension of disbelief thing. It's like, how the fuck did this game make any goddamn money? If you're gonna have all this different shit in the game, it's people probably gonna go play fucking Overwatch or something with better shooting mechanics. People are gonna be
you say that, but Second Life has made a lot
Yeah,
of money.
I was
So-
straight up gonna say Second Life.
No, I mean, yes,
Like
but
Second Life has all of the like you can just make anything you want and then sell it, and then Second Life gets.
And that's
One of the
true, and
characters
it's
straight
like
up
the thing-
does that in the game.
and the thing is, you can also do that in Roblox. But the thing is, like, this is like the game that literally everyone plays and is like the video game that exists, and there's not other ones. Like in
I
the
don't know.
universe
I
of this.
kind of thought of it as just like, I don't know, the equivalent of World of Warcraft smashed with Second Life, in that it was World of Warcraft popular but Second Life based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit more than World of Warcraft popular because it's like everyone in the entire
like League
world.
of Legends popular.
Popular like a video game has never been before. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the world is so shit. Everyone plays this video game. Like
Yeah. Instead,
everyone and their grandma.
Well, that's what you get dystopian futures, you know.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. My biggest complaints was some of the dystopian aspects of the movie, because it's like,
It's like it's following. Ernest Cline had to make that bank. He wanted to write his movie about video games, but his publisher was like, "All right, listen. You know what's really popular right now with the kids?
The
Is
Hunger
all this-
Games.
the dystopian fiction. Can you put a little bit of that in there? That'd be
well, I don't even think so. I think Ernest Cline probably thought it was a good idea, but he's just a moron.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like, and I complained about this last time we talked about Ready Player One, but there was the whole section where they were talking about how there was like indentured servitude and stuff, but,
Yeah.
but the way that they kind of explained it sort of made no sense in
Mm-hmm.
America. I don't know. So
Yeah.
like some serious things would have to change in like whatever 50 years or whatever it is from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is
But-
Wade Wilson from Deadpool, and I like to play video games. Watch Ready Player One. We don't have like a trailer, so I had to do it myself so that we could like cut to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, but I mean, like that doesn't sound like an unreasonable thing to have been in Deadpool 2, but I don't know if it was. You could have just been saying a line from the movie for all I know. That's how Deadpool is.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Ready Player One, and that was the movie I watched. The next movie, a stark fucking contrast to Ready Player One, I watched Casablanca again.
Okay.
And this is a movie that I was like, I watched it like for the podcast because I was gonna do like an in-depth of all of like the how because I haven't seen this movie since I was in like high school. I was gonna do like an in-depth look in how like how the movie changed cinema and what it did to like, and really here's the dirty truth about Casablanca is it's just a really good movie. Like that's really all you can say. It's like, oh well, what about Casablanca? It's really good. It's a good story. It's got great characters in it. It's super memorable stuff. Yeah, it's just good. It's just a fucking really well-made movie. That's what it is.
I think we're gonna have to put a statute of limitations on movies that you watch for the podcast and just spin the movie thing to its own show. Because
maybe.
because
Yeah.
Well, this week I was like,
because
really
what always
fucking-
happens is you like watch a movie from 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that movies from 20 years ago are bad.
Excuse me, this is a movie from 56, 7.
Usually it's
almost
like
a
20 years,
century
okay?
ago.
Usually
Yeah,
it's like
but yeah,
20 years.
exactly.
And it's like because we're on a schedule and we're trying to move quickly through our subjects, your thoughts are usually summed up to like, yeah, I saw it and it's still good.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like,
and that's the thing. I wanted to say more about this movie, but that's all I can say about it this time.
Yeah.
so
you were
maybe it would
trying
make
to
more
find
sense
something
to
say
spin
more about.
off like maybe a different show where you're talking about movies.
maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking, how do I do this, but not in the same way that literally every other motherfucker on YouTube is doing it? How do I sit there and be like, my movie review of Casablanca, it's wow, that's going directly into the fucking wind. Bye.
Next Into the
I'll
Wind,
see you in
Gone
the
with the
video.
Wind.
Yeah. Gone with the fucking wind. There it goes.
Gone with the Wind invented television.
It's like, as God is my witness, I'll never get views again.
on one hand, kind of agree with, like, I get what you're saying, that probably it wouldn't do super well. But on the other hand, or that, like, everybody kind of does that same sort of thing, but on the other hand, like, it's your perspective is still different than other people's, and if people are interested in your perspective, they'd be interested.
What I mean is, like, I gotta get a hook, you know? Yeah. I gotta fucking hook to reel the motherfuckers in, you know? That's how
I know what a good hook is.
What?
Put Gravedigger in the thumbnail.
Yeah! My new review of Casablanca! Featuring Gravedigger. People will just
Graveyard
like,
Media Podcast, sponsored by Gravedigger.
The Gravedigger Media Podcast.
And people are just going, what the fuck could he possibly?
You know what?
What could this possibly? Here's looking at you, kid. What did you think about this shit, Gravedigger?
Just use
See, in a
use
minute
After
here.
Effects to edit Gravedigger into the background of every scene of Casablanca.
In a minute here, we're gonna have to spin out monster trucks too. So let's get moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
What was your favorite part of this movie, Gravedigger? Me too, Gravedigger.
Uh,
Oh yeah, and I'm glad that this devolved into this because again, like I don't feel like Casablanca like added I don't feel like Casablanca reinvented film. It didn't like add a lot to like the medium's existence. It's just the perfect like little it's the perfect movie to show out. It's like, what was old Hollywood like? Oh, here, watch Casablanca. This is like the best one. It shows off all that shit. Oh yeah, all right, yeah, this is pretty fucking good. Yeah. That's Casablanca. Okay. It's good. If you don't know what Casablanca is.
What's that like 8-hour long movie? The classic one that I can't think of its name.
Clash of the Titans.
No, it's like a really long. Man, I can't
Monty
remember.
Python and the Holy
No.
Grail.
Okay, there are a couple like old epics, and Casablanca isn't one. It's an hour.
Yeah, I know. That one's more of a movie.
It's either Lawrence of Arabia or Ben-Hur.
It was Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
And that's only 4 hours long. And
Okay.
Lawrence of Arabia is.
I mean, 4 hours is still a really long movie.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But apparently my my local movie theater is like doing a series of classic movies, and one of them is Lawrence of Arabia, and I'm like, how did someone at this company convince them to like put Lawrence of Arabia on there for 4 hours? But you know,
firstly, it has an intermission, and secondly, because people will go and see it. Like I'd go fucking watch Lawrence of Arabia in the theaters. I love Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, it has
Sorry. I have this really, really cool local theater that shows like all kinds of shit, and it never shows new shit. It's like a little local like hole in the wall one screen theater that also has a stage.
The one you like legitimately linked me. They were showing a documentary about fucking David Lynch, like a specific documentary that I wanted to see, and I was like, you motherfucker.
That sounds like a kind of theater people would do Rocky Horror Picture Show at.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Like every Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, Halloween, man! People around here do it weekly.
Oh yeah, okay. Fucking at one point they were showing like Mad Max Fury Road, and all of the people. It's a volunteer theater, but all of the people were dressed up as characters from Fury Road. Like there was one woman who volunteered there who straight up shaved her head to be Furiosa.
That's pretty cool.
That's fucking great.
It was dope as hell. Like it was the first time I'd been there, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm spending $12 on a soda, sure.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah, but my theater is just like a pretty large chain here. Like the one that I'm talking about that has like it does classic nights. It does obscure anime and other foreign films. This is the theater that's at the mall. Like
I see.
So I don't know, it's a really cool company, Harkins Theaters.
Yeah, that is neat.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
So
that was Casablanca. I mean, there's not anything to say that hasn't already been said. It's a great cast of a bunch of different scumbags with a lot of heart. It's a wonderful movie. Go watch it if you haven't.
So what else did you check out this week, though?
Let's see. The next movie I watched, because I don't want to get into the Deadpool, which both me and Sane have seen. We're getting into that. The next one was Agere, The Wrath of God, Werner Herzog's first film. This is one I haven't
Gary, the Wrath of God.
Agure. It's Agurrie.
Okay.
It's a
Okay,
fucking
one more time. Spell it for me.
I don't even think
Gary,
that's
the
right
Wrath of God.
Gary, the Wrath of God.
You know
Smell
what?
you later.
I'm just gonna leave it as Gary, the Wrath of God. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. So Gary, the Wrath of God, is a movie about Spanish conquistadors, one of which is named Gary. I'm just gonna call him that for the rest of the fucking movie.
Good,
which is
okay.
going to be great.
Okay.
So they are Spanish conquistadors looking for the city of gold, El Dorado. They break up into a separate group from the main conquistador group, and from there everything goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, I think I saw this movie. There was the blonde guy and the guy with the beard, and his horse bit him on the butt. They used that in all the promos.
So basically, every movie ever and video game
I think they were
and
named
book about El Dorado.
I think they were named Miguel and Tulio.
Oh no. So imagine if Miguel and Tulio went down a river of madness and insanity. So this is
That's not too far from what happened.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is a movie that Apocalypse Now owes a lot to, including its like insane production, because it's one of those things.
So
like,
this is an older movie.
Yeah, this is an older movie. It was 72, I think.
Now I've never heard of this. I don't know
I
how many
haven't
people
either.
have. I feel like talking about older movies that people haven't really heard of is more of a good thing.
I don't know.
Decent
I
thing.
think we should still spin it out, but that's
Yeah. Where was I? So yeah, they go to, what it is they go down this river, and Gary Aguirre, the man who is like second in charge, basically overthrows the guy who is in charge and sets someone up as like a as like a faux emperor for himself, and leads his like group of people into death. And I don't want to say goes crazy, because he starts out crazy, and everything gets more crazy as he gains more power and more control over the situation, as everyone and everything else sort of spirals into madness, because, you know, as everything spirals into madness, he gains more control. Until he's like the only one left at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. It's hard to talk about this movie without talking about its production. This was Werner Herzog's first movie. It was almost guerrilla film made. Like, he made this movie by stealing a camera from his film school.
Wow.
as one
straight
does.
up stole a camera.
That's as guerrilla as it gets.
Yeah, ran off to literally the jungle with like a bare bones crew of like actors and people, like film crew people. And shot the movie with a heckload of hardships throughout the entire movie, which, you know, if you know anything about the production of Apocalypse Now, it was the same thing. So you get a lot of really good performances of people just looking like they're about to die, because they all were. Like, they had all been trekking through this jungle. Like, the raft like looks really terrible, like it's going to fall apart at any second, because they made that raft from their own hands, just like they did in the movie. And everyone looking horribly miserable is just entirely legitimate, because that's just how the movie was filmed. So they got like a ton of incredible performances just because of like the terrible hardships. There's also a really funny story that goes along with this, because that was one of the things in the movie. There were a lot of really like moments that were sort of funny, and like these really in like the midst of this just horrible shit going on. Like, there's a point where someone just is standing around looking horribly miserable and just ends up with a fucking arrow in him that comes from somewhere off of screen, looks down and just says, "Oh, looks like long arrows are in season this year," and then falls down to the ground and floats away. There's another point where a man he's counting like the amount of rivers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, gets his head cut off because he's planning to rebel against Gary. Gary cuts his head off, and like the last thing his head, like decapitated head, says, like after it rolled over, is 10, 11, and then it just dies. And it's like these things. It's like, should I have laughed at that? That was kind of fucked up, but funny in a weird way. And yeah,
Mm.
to go along with that, one of the things in production was there were a bunch of monkeys that were used for the last scene of the movie to show like how horribly overrun the raft had gotten. These monkeys were shipped bots by from Werner Herzog by like another American company, and to like keep him from using the monkeys. So he tracked these monkeys down, went to the airport, dressed himself up as a veterinarian, and said, "Listen, these monkeys need to have their shots. They need to go back. I'm sorry, you guys can't take them. They haven't had their shots yet." And they're like, "Oh, is that right? Yes, that is right." So he took the monkeys and flew them back to his fucking set, and it's the funniest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. He's not only did he steal his camera,
what a monster!
Not only did he steal his camera for the fucking movies, he also stole some monkeys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he get the monkeys back?
Yeah, he did. He got the monkeys. He took them and he used them for his movie, and then.
What happened to the monkeys after?
I think they were given back to like the wildlife preserve that gave it to him in the first place.
I would
I
hope
don't
so.
think the Hollywood studio ever got the monkeys.
I see.
I think the Hollywood. Wait a second. Where are we supposed to get the Herzog? Yeah. So yeah, the production of this movie was a absolute insane train wreck, and the movie turned out incredible for it. It was a great movie. Werner Herzog grabbed film by the balls and made it his own. It was a pure artistic expression. He did whatever the fuck he wanted on this movie. It was a goddamn nightmare, and it turned out great for it. Just like Apocalypse Now. So the next movie we're going to talk about is Deadpool.
Yeah. Deadpool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. I'll be right back. Call me in an hour.
I'm awake again now that we're talking about a movie that I've seen.
So yeah, I thought it was pretty okay.
I liked it.
It was a comedy. One of the things I was thinking about, so if you don't know what Deadpool is, there's a superhero who makes wacky jokes and breaks the fourth wall and murders people.
No, that sounds horrible, but it's not.
Superhero.
Yeah. So one of the things I was thinking of is like, fucking the X-Men franchise, like the film franchise, is like fucking 20 years old now, and I mean, if this is what we're just going to do with it, like forever after Logan, like if we just did Deadpool with it, it's like, yeah, okay, that's a good place that it could go. If it's just a joke comedy movie forever, that's fine.
Deadpool had a really good cold opening though.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best cold openings I've seen in a comedy movie like ever.
I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation.
He literally does that, but
yeah.
Oh, really?
that's not
Good.
the part that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I figured he would have actually. That sounds exactly right.
I thought his relationship with Cable was probably one of the best parts of the movie, and if that relationship hadn't worked as well as it did, then it probably would have not, like, it would have ruined the movie, basically. Yeah. But they pulled it off super well.
Speaking of his relationship with characters, like its predecessor before it, Thor Ragnarok, this movie also included an actor from Hunt for the Wilder People. This time it was the Kid, who is playing the exact same character he played in Hunt for the Wilder People, down to the fucking references to Tupac. It's great. I was just so happy to see this guy in another fucking movie.
This character in another movie, right?
Yeah, I'm happy that the kid got to be in another movie playing
the exact same character.
Yeah, the exact same character. Kid who a foster orphan kid who's troubled and hates his everything.
Except this time he's a mutant.
Except this time he can do fire. Yeah. So yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Domino was really good in it.
Yeah, Domino was great.
I thought they weren't allowed to use mutants.
No, they're Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Deadpool is in fact, that's one of the biggest complaints I have with the film is they actually hardcore tied it in with the X-Men movies.
Oh.
Oh yeah, well, for like sort of like one like throwaway joke, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
Which
but throwaway
I
jokes
remember
is a
that
lot
same
of what...
scene in Days of Future Past, and something weird
Yeah.
happened, and then I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then they never called attention to it in the movie, and then later they have like the other side of that same scene.
That's great. That's actually pretty funny. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Was it Days of Future Past or was it
I think it was the.
Apocalypse one?
It might have been Apocalypse. I don't know. It might have been Apocalypse.
Oh no, wait, Days of Future Past was the good one.
Yeah, Days of Future Past was a
So,
good one.
Did they do Days of Future Present or was that Apocalypse? I think
they
that might
did
have been Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It was the one where the villain sat on a mountain for like half the movie and is just like, "This will be my kingdom," and now we have to wait for the X-Men to do all their shit so that we can fight.
you know what the stupidest part of them tying those two movies together though is?
What's that?
Cable exists for the purpose of killing Apocalypse. Like he's literally his origin is directly tied into
the only
Apocalypse.
reason he right.
Literally the
And
only reason he exists.
He wasn't in that movie, was he?
Yeah.
Because he's an alternate timeline future version of a child of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, who is like half
pissed off.
The reason why he has like a prosthetic arm and like metal going up his body is because he is infected with a virus that is the same kind of virus as Apocalypse. So
right. So we could explain that all day, but we
And the
only
thing
have a
is-
few hours to be here.
Yeah, and to be able to defeat Apocalypse, what happens is Cable has to assemble together all of the Infinity Stones and with a gauntlet.
Oh yeah,
so
yes, right.
one of the funniest things I was thinking about, because in the comics, the way that Cable kind of works is he's constantly going back in time, going further and further back in time, because he's trying to find find the origin of Apocalypse essentially, and he can't just jump directly backwards, so he has to slowly jump back in time, and then like wait for it to recharge and then jump again. So in the comics, like the first appearance of Cable is the last time that Cable is like from his perspective, it's the last time he sees all the X-Men and stuff.
Right.
Because he's on like the opposite time scale. So I was almost expecting for Cable to just recognize Deadpool in this movie.
Yeah,
but
I could see that.
it
So
didn't
was
go
Cable
that way
introduced in this movie, or was he in the last movie?
He was introduced
He was
in this
introduced
movie.
in this movie.
Okay.
And in fact, they made a joke in the last movie. Oh, Cable's gonna be in the next one.
Oh yeah, right. I remember people telling me about that. Yeah.
Right. And I think Josh Brolin did a really good job of being Thanos in Infinity War and being Cable in this one without it being obvious.
Yeah, that was
That's
why I was
funny.
making
I
it.
didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Yes, those like the characters, like the way that he acted and his mannerisms and stuff, they were different enough that it didn't feel like.
I agree,
same
but like
person.
the thing is, Josh Brolin has like a very distinct voice. So whenever I heard Cable talk, I was like, there's Barney the Purple Dinosaur. I hear that. I know he was in that movie as a
Barney the
superhero.
Mad Dinosaur.
Barney the Mad Dinosaur.
I think they did a pretty good job with Cable.
Yeah.
I thought that he was probably the best character they had introduced.
I like Domino personally.
Domino is also really good, actually.
Who is Domino again?
Domino is
she's Luck Powers.
Oh right, okay.
She's a
Overpowers
notable
it.
character for being on the X-Force, which is a kind of a Black Ops X-Men team, sort
I
of.
see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which in this movie they kind of repurposed as being Deadpool's own X-Men with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
So
With dominoes and hookers.
With Domino and hookers.
So
yeah.
an interesting thing about Domino is she's white in the comics, and they remade her as being African American in this. But I feel
think
like
she's like albino in the comics.
I think she's white
I could have swore she was
because I think
albino.
they made her black in this film, which I think of all of the characters to kind of do that to, it probably makes more sense for Domino than other ones.
Right. Huh.
Let me see.
I could have swore that she was albino. I thought that's what it was.
I don't know. Well, she's not, because I've got a picture of her from a comic book here, and she has these like blue eyes.
She
These
almost looks
blue
Asian.
line- Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But whatever the case,
yeah.
I think that they've made worse choices in terms of
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
terms
that
of
doesn't seem like
Yeah.
doesn't
It was
seem like a big deal.
it
But
was like
most likely, it doesn't seem like a big deal because nobody really cares about Domino or cared
No.
about Domino before this movie.
Well, kind of, but yes and no. I guess it depends on how much you're fans of the specific comics, Cable and Deadpool,
Yeah.
X-Force, and
that's like those are ones that I like am actually really familiar with, and
right.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's fine.
she's not
I'll
like
have no
a
problem
no
with it.
one character, but she's definitely not one that you would immediately think of
Yeah.
Right.
unless you actually read comics. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Domino was really good, and some of the other
Yeah.
characters were pretty funny.
Yeah.
Even if they were short lived.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you know.
Terry Crews was in it for a couple of minutes, which is nice.
He played the guy from the Old Spice commercials, right?
Yeah.
Not really. He played I don't even remember his name. Was it Blackout or something like that?
Something like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
He played Doomfist from Ready Player One.
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't think his name was Blackout because I feel like if his name was Blackout, that would come off as way more racist
Yeah.
than it
I
was.
don't know. Sometimes comic books will just do that, though.
I mean, there was Black Lightning that came on Netflix recently, and apparently is kind of garbage.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't
Fair
watch it either. And unfortunately, it's probably not garbage enough. It doesn't reach that line where it's like fucking trash and I need to see it.
I don't know. It almost seems like it gets there.
Oh man, if it could. Oh man, if it could.
I have this Moscow Mule, and every time I drink it, I breathe in through my nose, but the ginger just goes right up into my nose, and it kills me.
Like your
Oh,
nose. Put on a snorkel while you're drinking it. Make it look like you're in like a Jimmy Buffett commercial. A commercial for whatever the fuck Jimmy Buffett is advertising.
Tequila?
Yeah. Tequila, yeah. So yeah.
His name was Bedlam.
Bedlam. Okay, yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
The reason I thought it was like Blackout or something is because that's similar to what his power actually does, but
I'm
Yeah.
certain that there is a comic book character named Blackout.
I would not be surprised.
There is a comic book character named Blackout, but he's in Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, chances are the character is from Marvel because Marvel has like 1 billion more characters than DC.
There's also a DC character named Blackout.
That also doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. At
Alright.
this point, nothing would surprise me. You got a fucking combination of words? Can that be a superhero? Yes? Okay, then it is. Get the fucking work, artist, man.
So
Back
I
in
like
the pins.
Deadpool 2 quite a bit, but I think that probably its biggest problem is just that the first movie was so surprising in how it did things, and this one was
Yeah.
just more of that. So
Yeah.
Right.
it wasn't as shocking and surprising to see it. So it was
Mhm.
just, and that's not to say it was bad. It was just, it didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't super exciting because that had already been done with Deadpool 1. So
Yeah.
Right.
And then Deadpool 1 was like, whoa, I can't believe they did that. And now it's like, yeah, they did that again.
the mid-credit scenes though were some of the best parts of the movie. So definitely watch
Oh,
the
yeah.
mid-credit scenes.
See,
Yeah.
every single person that I've talked to has basically wanted to go and see it again. This is definitely what I'm going to see with somebody because everybody I know wants to see it again. I'm expecting good things, but also most of my friends that I have in real life are total movie plebs, so it might not be that as great as they're selling it. I don't know.
I could see the interest in seeing it multiple times because of how fast it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are
It's
a lot of, it mixes a lot of references and very subtle things as well. So
It's a joke movie, you know? It's
Yeah.
yeah.
this is kind of a minor reference, but at the end of the movie when he's covered in like black soot, his outfit looked like his X-Force outfit, which is just the Deadpool costume but black.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And that was just kind of a subtle reference that I thought was neat.
Yeah.
How often does he talk about Spider-Man?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Actually.
He probably can't.
Well, he mentions Thanos and the DC universe.
He specifically mentions
the universe.
Yeah, he specifically mentions Thanos when referring to Josh Brolin.
Interesting. That makes sense.
And then at one point, Cable has him in a headlock and is like going over his motivations and stuff. He's like, "Man, you're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?"
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad spoiling that because that was in the trailer, but
yeah. Oh, yeah, and yeah, well, maybe we'll talk about, like, when Dalsson sees it, maybe we'll talk about spoilers for this movie. Spoiler alert, Deadpool kills someone.
What?
Yeah, he just uses
Next you're going to be telling me that he breaks the fourth wall. Next you're going to be telling me he gets a body part cut off and puts it back on.
Well, you're going to be surprised because that happens.
Wow! Who would have guessed?
Shit. I don't know.
Spoiler alert, he kills himself.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
He gets better though.
Yeah, it's
I don't know that last one. Anyway.
But how will they make Deadpool 3? Apparently, I just read that it actually beat Infinity War at the box office, which
its first opening weekend compared to Avengers like
Infinity.
6.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
okay.
Like it's not.
It didn't beat its opening more weekend. Money than Infinity War. It just beat it at the box office.
It beat it opening weekend, right? Yeah. Gotcha.
Which I would be surprised if it didn't. Like that would be sad if it didn't. But
really, did Infinity War not do good on the opening weekend or something?
No, Infinity War did very amazing good on the opening weekend.
No, but if Deadpool didn't beat Avengers in its 6th weekend, that would be bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I thought that what I read was that it beat Infinity War at the box office.
No, because Avengers beat everything.
Like
Avengers is now the record holder for most biggest box office weekend. It beat Star Wars Force Awakens, which was the old one.
I remember a while ago, I think it was Tangled that beat Titanic, which held the record for ever. And ever since then they've just been beating like
Tangled
every couple of months. Yeah, Tangled. It was either Tangled or Frozen that beat Titanic just a few years ago, and Titanic had it forever.
On opening weekend.
Frozen sounds more likely.
Yeah, Frozen sounds more likely though. I don't think anything beat Titanic until
I don't think you know what it is. Probably it may have beat actual dollar amounts, but adjusted for inflation, it was probably less. And it's not until recently that we've been beating those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's going on.
Star Wars makes the fucking money, man.
I think at this point though, Titanic is still 4th or 5th.
Oh yeah. Titanic is still fucking up there. Oh, Avatar did beat Titanic though.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Somehow. Anyway, why don't we move on?
I really like that Avatar. So yeah.
So considering we're on, what? Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll just finish off with the video game that I played this week.
I was gonna say, considering this is on Twitch, maybe we should talk about a video game.
Adjusted for inflation, Titanic is still number 2 behind Avatar, followed by The Force Awakens and then Infinity War.
Wow.
For opening weekend or for total gross? Because
for total gross, I think.
Okay, then Avengers is gonna beat that, probably.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Because
Avatar made a fuck ton.
It's already 4th. So
yeah, it's busted.
And it's still in theaters.
Yeah, it's
still on a dozen screens theaters.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I will say was really nice about Deadpool is that when I went to see it, it was a late screening on a Tuesday. Fucking no one was in the theater. It was wonderful. I'm certain that I would probably have maybe even had a worse opinion if I would have saw it with 1 million people. I would have been sitting there he said a fucking joke.
I kind of
that's Cable.
I kind of liked it because there's something cool about the whole audience laughing all at once to like specific things. I don't know. Like, I remember the first time I saw the first Avengers. There was a scene where
was it when Hulk just flipped Loki around like a fucking maniac?
Yeah, he smashes him, but then he says something, and
Puny God.
Yeah, he says like puny God, but people were laughing so hard at that moment. I literally didn't hear that line the first time.
Yeah,
and there's just something like, I know that maybe you want to hear all of the lines, but there's something really like funny and interesting and like cool about being in just a roaring crowd of people laughing. I don't know.
I think they reference that in is it in Infinity War or Ragnarok too?
Ragnarok.
Right, yeah, because Hulk like flips Thor all around and Loki's like, see, that's how it feels.
Anyway, I'm going to talk about the video game that I played this year.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go again.
Pillars of Eternity. I talked about it a little bit last time, but I hadn't played very much. And Pillars of Eternity is this weird thing where I feel like I played Obsidian's like CRPGs in the order that they were released, because like I feel like Tyranny was Obsidian sort of getting into the groove of
Tyranny came on after Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, I know, it did, but it feels like it was like they were just trying to figure out how to do this, toying with this, working with that, and like getting into the groove of making a CRPG. And then Pillars of Eternity is like, yeah, we already made one. We got a pretty good idea of what we're doing. It's much more expansive. It's a lot more quests, and I don't know how they went from like Pillars of Eternity to Tyranny, because it's so much better. Pillars of Eternity has sucked me the heck in, and
it's strange because Obsidian is an experienced group of developers. It's not the same studio, but they basically made Fallout 1 and 2.
Well, it had like the
majority of those people. Yeah. So
also it did do New Vegas.
Yeah, they did do New Vegas, but that's not as much of a classic CRPG.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Didn't they also do Baldur's Gate though? Or the team came from the people who did Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they've been doing CRPGs since CRPGs were a thing.
They used to be called Black Isles.
Yeah. Yeah.
My cat really wants
attention. A lot of people like one of the things that I was seeing a lot of, right? When I was looking at like what other people's thoughts on this game was, it's like I tried to play this like 13 times and I couldn't get into it, and but then I played it again, and it's like I really got into it, and it's weird because it almost like immediately sucked me in. I'm here, I'm ready for the ride. I'm loving Pillars of Eternity.
I think
it's possible that a lot of people.
I just think thematically you were probably more interested in some of the themes in Pillars of Eternity more than most people would be. And then I think additionally, it's a really hard, because it's a CRPG, like a lot of times that's a big barrier to entry to players.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, it's like you already like CRPGs. So like if a majority of people are saying like, oh, it's hard to get into, but I fell back into it, I really like it, like it's probably just that they maybe aren't as interested in CRPG.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a very
weird.
much.
A lot of people were like saying that it had like a really, really lofty and overly like prose heavy writing, which
I can see that complaint in places. There are certain characters and certain parts that are like that, but I think that overall the tone, I wouldn't say that's a fair thing.
Yeah, and it's weird because like one of the things I'm doing is I'm like going through Dune with Dalsson here, and I'm thinking like, these motherfuckers never read a book before. These motherfuckers reading Hunger Games and shit. Is that what we doing? I was just surprised with a lot of the complaints that some people had with this game, that it just completely like passed me off. I had
maybe
no
it
idea,
just maybe it just is written more like a book than a lot of other games, and because of that, they're like, because it's written like a book at all, it comes off as prose heavy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe, and I can understand that. But
is it voice acted or?
It is.
Yes, a lot of it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not entirely, but a lot of it.
Yeah,
is.
not entirely, but it's like Divinity. And I think I like this game a little bit more than Divinity, but that just comes down to personal preference. Like, if you want a game that's like more mechanically inclined, that has like a more crazy stuff going on with combat, you're definitely gonna want to play in Divinity because like Divinity's mechanics are.
I think the
fucking
combat.
miles
I think
beyond
the
this game.
combat is more fun in Divinity.
Yeah, the combat. Like it's probably
yeah.
one of the most fun combat-wise CRPGs that I've ever played.
Oh yeah. But if you want like a CRPG where everyone is just like 10% more depressed about everything, which I mean, I'm super happy about, and just everything's just like that much more dark. Just I'm super happy about that. I'm down for that.
Okay, but wait, like
I think that's definitely a
fairness,
pick your poison kind of thing.
In fairness, Divinity is like absolutely a really bleak. Everybody's depressed. The world is horrible. But your player characters are so funny that like it draws a little bit away from it. But like if you kind of ignore some of the things that you can say or do as a player character, like
there are also like there's just weird humor in it throughout, like the fact that you can talk to crabs who are like talking about how they're warlocks and stuff.
And there's like dogs who are just sad about their girlfriend dog. But it's and there's like in Pillars of Eternity, like even the aesthetic is a lot more dark. It has that good Infinity Engine Diablo Baldur's Gate look where there's just fucking pools of blood and shit. Wonderful. I love that aesthetic. It's
so good. Yeah.
Beautiful. Another thing I wanted to talk about is like the characters, specifically the companions. One of my biggest problems with Tyranny were all of the characters and companions were the same, i.e., I think that I am better at you at blank. Either I'm smarter than you, stronger than you, or something. But eventually I come to like
harder than you
because you are good at the stuff that you do, and I respect you. And in this game, there's a whole cast of characters.
I think maybe that was just a poor writing conceit that they kind of forced themselves in with the concept of Tyranny.
It really felt like some parts of Tyranny were rushed because it had like a great baseline. I love the world building in Tyranny. The fucking world building in Tyranny was like really, really good. But some of the character writing was like, it's okay. I was a little disappointed, but all the character writing I love in this game. All of the companions are interesting and varied, and they do some of the things. Like one of the least interesting characters I have on my like team is this priest man who just showed up one day walking on the road and was like, "I'm coming with you." He declared and then just never went away, and constantly calls his god a fucking whore. He's like the least interesting character I have, and it's great.
Yeah, I probably should put more time into Pillars of Eternity, but I have so many games that I'm interested in.
Yeah, and it's kind of a long fucking game. I was going to like blow through this game, but I ended up just doing all of the side quests anyway, because it's like all the way that people talk about Skyrim is what this game did to me. Like it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to do all of the side quests in this fucking city now.
But you have to grant that the reason people talk about Skyrim that way is because it's an Elder Scrolls game, and the previous Elder Scrolls games were good at it.
Yeah,
more good at it than at Skyrim, I would say.
Yeah.
Oblivion and Morrowind, like what even is the main quest in Morrowind? Can you tell me?
So there are like false gods or something in there, and you're like trying to kill the false gods or something.
Yeah, you see, it's like you gotta go kill Dagoth but where is he? Who cares? Let's go do the Mages Guild quest.
In my defense, though, that's the only one that I haven't actually like played a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I say a lot of, but.
Right.
That's relative, I guess, to Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, fair enough.
I haven't played a lot of it. I only have about 200 hours in that one. Honestly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I can tell you the plot of Oblivion better.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the plot of Fallout 3?
Yes.
I don't think anybody can, really.
No, I feel like everybody can because it's.
I feel like
there is no that was like all there was in that game was the main story.
Like that's actually like the easiest one.
Like
you're finding your fucking dad. That's the plot of that game.
The plot of New Vegas, though, is you've been shot in the head.
You know what's funny? One thing I will say about Toddy H and his fucking company is like when people complain about a problem with a game, right? Like they complained about the problems with Fallout 3. There's like no side quests, and everyone was comparing it to like New Vegas, saying, "Oh, New Vegas has 20 trillion side quests. Fallout 3 has dick." So New Vegas is better. They put a fuck ton of side quests in Fallout 4.
They put tons of
other things.
They like really listen to criticism. That's actually kind of interesting. This was something I was hearing about that wasn't newsworthy, but a lot of statements they've put out about Fallout 4. They say that a lot of the things that they did for Fallout 4, like they were experimenting with, and they intend to backpedal on some of the things like in Fallout 5. Like one of the things that they pointed to very specifically was how, like, they give the player power armor like 30 minutes into the game. They were like, we wanted that to feel really cool and rewarding, but a lot of players have said that it feels like it kind of nixes out a lot of progression, because aside from fusion cores, there's no reason not to use power armor ever. So we're probably going to backpedal on that in Fallout 5. They also said that they are not likely to get full voice acting for Fallout 5 because they agree that it ruined some of the dialogue choices by forcing them to have.
And one of the things that I heard about the new game that maybe is going to be announced at fucking E3 is that because of the fact that they had a lot of that, they had some ideas for this new game that they decided we're gonna not do that because that's what people didn't like about Fallout 4.
Right. Yeah. So say anything you want about Bethesda, but they do really listen to their audience.
Yeah, they do. When they add new things, they fuck it up, but they do listen to their audience.
I don't feel like they always fuck it up. They fuck up about half of the time, I would say.
Yeah.
But,
I'd say that.
like, you can't add cool stuff without breaking some other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think that the actual system for power armor in Fallout 4 is like one of the best things they've ever added. It makes it feel like you have actual power armor instead of just clothes that you can't equip until the Brotherhood of Steel tells you can equip it.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a way, when it comes to power armor in Fallout 4, it's kind of hurt on both ends. Like on one hand, you get it really early, so it doesn't feel that special, and you feel like overpowered at parts. It like really easy initially, but at the same time you don't find new parts for it very quickly,
right?
Either.
Yeah.
So
it feels like
really
you're not limited early on with the fusion core. So like,
so it feels like you're not progressing. It feels like you're not progressing at all with your power armor, and it feels like you have this super weapon right at the beginning. So it's kind of like I sort of just left my power armor and ran around without it for most of what I played of it anyway. But
I feel like that's the thing. It's like people were on two sides of this because of the power armor, which kind of screwed everything over. People either only ever used the power armor and never used anything else, or people just never used the power armor.
Right.
Because it was kind of like finicky. Yeah. Like it added more busy work to even be able to walk around.
Yeah, what I did was I didn't use the power armor until I found something that I felt I needed power armor for. Then I went all the way back, got my power armor, and came back there. And
but that really sucks for people who that really sucks for people who don't like to fast travel in those games.
Exactly. I don't fast travel, which ate up my fusion core. So it just I don't know. Yeah. The systems could use some reworking, and the point is they're looking at it. And that's Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, that's Pillars of Eternity. Good, play it. I'm excited to play Deadfire once I'm finished doing everything that you can do in this game.
I do like in Fallout, though, their armor system. I thought that was a big improvement. And their weapon mods.
Oh, yeah.
Their weapon mod system was a huge improvement, because I remember being very disappointed with how it was implemented in New Vegas.
Yeah, where you just kind of found a particular mod and jammed it into your gun.
Yeah. Just the choices were very limited. If anything, I feel like they didn't go far enough with their weapon modding system. And
all you wanted to do was, if you found the mod, put it on there. Like, there's no choice.
No, in Fallout 4, though, like, I feel like they didn't go far enough, because the only weapon you could really tinker with was the pipe guns, and most of them were garbage really quickly.
Everything else was just straight upgrades, or, like, put a scope on it or something.
Anyway, I'm really excited to see what Bethesda talks about at E3, because the concept of like having a new like Oblivion-esque or Elder Scrolls-esque game not tied to lore of other games seems like a really cool thing.
Yeah, so that they can't fuck anything up because they're just making new stuff.
Yeah, they have two games in the pipe before the next Elder Scrolls, and then the next Fallout is what they.
I mean, they
planned.
kind of are saying that, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows what
how they actually, what they're actually doing. I feel like a lot of this, I don't know. I feel like there's been conflicting reports on what games they're actually working on and what they're not.
Yeah.
Over long gaps of time. So people have kind of been collecting this information from like snippets and interviews, but I think that a lot of that information isn't super reliable anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you played any games this weekend, Dalsson?
I played one that I particularly want to talk about, and it's called Far Lone Sails.
Oh yeah.
Which I just noticed is wrong in the stream title, but that's okay. It's Far Lone Sails.
Oh, that's not that wrong.
Yeah, it's not terribly wrong. It doesn't matter. Now, this is it's a very short, very linear game, right? Essentially what you do is you kind of start out, it's not very story heavy unless you are into that analysis game theory shit. But essentially what happens is you leave what seems to be the character's home. You go out a little ways into the desert where you've prepared this massive land ship that is fueled by like burning boxes and shit. It's essentially a steam engine, and you run it through all these crazy varied environments, and eventually you kind of upgrade it as time goes along. You put like a sail on it so that you don't need to use your engines, and more repair tools in case it gets damaged and stuff like that. All kinds of neat little things, right? And you know, it's very, very mechanics light. Every once in a while there'll be like a barrier that you have to go like leave your ship and solve a puzzle to get your ship to keep going. Other than that, you're just kind of burning fuel, going through the environments, and venting steam so that your ship doesn't overheat. There are a lot of really cool moments in it. Like, I especially like any time that you upgrade your ship. Like, there's one little area where you have to solve a puzzle because your ship can't keep moving because its tires fucking suck. So you have to go through this like big area, lift your ship up on a crane, and then figure out the correct sequence to press the buttons to give your ship new wheels. You know, that's just one example. Towards the end, it gets really, really cool with a lot of the shit you're doing. But everything around you is like totally barren. There is like one single other sign of, no, there's two actually. There's one single sign of actual life that you get to see, and that's a herd of buffalo that run out of the way of your ship. And I think that would be like, it's like, that kind of, to me, detracts from it a little bit. Like, I think that the character is seeking out human life. You start over a grave with like a picture of a man on it, so it's either your father or your husband or something. I think the person is seeking out another, like, other humans to be with, but everything seems so desolate where you are that it might not be a bad idea to just settle down where those buffalo are, because then you have food and obviously access to fresh water. But you keep going, and eventually you reach a point where it's implied that you find other people to live with. So it's really neat. What I like about it, it's kind of a 2D side scroller. What I really enjoy most about this game, I think, is the artwork and the art style. It's very relaxing. So like everything kind of like works in tandem to show you this kind of scenic tour of the post-apocalyptic world. There are occasionally, you know, intense moments. It's just like, it's quite an experience, you know. It's only 3 hours long or so. I would say give it a shot, you know, try and pick it up. I think it's not a very long game, and if you're into that kind of thing where you just kind of run along and relax, solve some very basic puzzles, it's nice to watch. There's the point where like I pick up a radio and I'm like, oh, cool, this radio plays music, and I bring it along on my ship, right? After a while, it stops playing music and I forget about it. And then later on in this like spooky area, there's just like whispering and voices coming out through the radio that it picked up. where it hasn't played music or anything forever. So I'm like, Jesus, oh my God, that's scary. There's just a bunch of neat little Easter eggs that kind of tell you about the world and stuff. I really like Far Lone Sales. Yeah, so this is thank you, Sane. This is what the game looks like. So it's like I said, it's totally 2D side-scrolling kind of deal, but it's not like a puzzle platform or anything. You solve some puzzles. But a majority of the game is what you're seeing here, where you just kind of roll along in the ship, and you have to like press that button there to keep your ship going. So occasionally you'll have to manage extra things if you want to like make your ship move faster.
It looks pretty interesting.
But it's really cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very short, very nifty. Yeah, I mean that's all I really have to say about it. It's a really good game.
How'd you hear about this game, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually I saw it on Woovit, and I was going to pick it up, but then I checked my email, and I was actually offered a key through Keymailer.
Oh, okay.
So I was given a key for this game. I received it for free, but I don't really think that.
Right, but I do think it's fair to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's fair to say, but I don't really feel like that affected. I guess it isn't a game that I probably would have picked up for money, because I would have looked at it and been like, well, I could probably skip this. But
having played it, you think that
having played it, I think I
recommending?
probably would have. I would recommend it. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. I think that's everything we've checked out this week. Why don't we take a break and then head into some news?
Sure.
So let's see. How about lost Thel.
We did.
Well, perfect timing, I guess. So how about 5:10 or 5:15? How about that?
Works for me.
All right. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. And we're back.
Sorry about that. I fucking died for like half a second. Thank God I'm a good necromancer and my phylactery will never find it.
Okay.
Luckily we were going to break right then anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, good. Alright.
In fact, you were just like, I think on my screen anyway, you froze like holding a coffee cup, so I thought you were just like sitting there with the coffee cup in front of your face the whole time.
Yeah.
Because you're liable to do that anyway.
It reminds me often when I end my streams, I vape, and then it freezes the frame at the end of my stream, so it looks like I'm just taking the longest vape ever.
The world's longest vape. Tomorrow.
It looks like there's not too much movie news, so why don't we start with that this time?
Okay.
There's a little bit of movie news, some stuff we can get into, some stuff that is very fun. What should we start off on? Yes.
Oh no.
Oh wait, no, that oh yes. This is the first one. Oh boy. Alrighty then.
Oh no.
Artistic fucking gigantic edgelord Lars von Trier makes a movie that makes Kane's people walk out of it.
Oh no, okay. Never mind. That wasn't the one I was talking about.
Oh, which one were you talking about? I have to know.
The ditching Shin Godzilla 2.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay.
So if you are not familiar with him, Lars von Trier is a man who has made a bunch of movies. A lot of them have been very, very divisive because he makes very, very fucked up movies. For instance, Antichrist is a really fucked up movie that is great. He also made Nymphomaniac Parts 1 and 2. You know, it's a 5-hour movie about fucking.
As one does.
He made Melancholia, which is a movie about people yelling at each other and then the world blows up. And and his new movie, The House That Jack Built, sparked an outrage in Cannes and forced people to walk out of it. Yeah. And his response to this was, well, I just can't help it. I'm a crowd pleaser. The thing is, Lars von Trier is such a fucking edgelord. Like, he just says shit that he does just to get a fucking reaction out of people straight up. Like, people talk about, like, that, like, with Quentin Tarantino, But Lars von Trier is like, I see a lot of
Right.
Hitler in myself in a way. Like he's just like that. He's just a fucking dickhole. But he does make very good movies, and that's the thing about this. Keynes was like, all right, listen, we understand and we appreciate the fact that there is in fact artistic merit in your movies, but you ain't screaming in competition, motherfucker. You're gonna be one of these out of competition films.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to compete with the other fucking films, but we will screen your film because of the artistic integrity.
So they're
and
being pretentious, just not too pretentious.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is a thing that's happened with like this isn't like a new thing. Keynes walkouts and like people booing at like Keynes movies for like shit that they didn't like, which in this case the subject matter of the movie was like The House that Jack Built is about a man named Jack who's like a serial killer who murders women. And that did not sit well with a lot of people in the Keynes theater. And this isn't like the first time that this has happened. This isn't like a new thing. In fact, Nicholas Winding Refn's last two movies, Only God Forgives and Neon Demon, had similar reactions. I haven't seen Neon Demon. I still haven't seen Neon Demon, but I watched Only God Forgives and was surprised because I expected it to be like, this is the first time I'd heard about like people in Keynes doing that, and I expected it to be a lot worse than it actually was. There was
why are people upset about a movie about a serial killer? Like, I don't understand.
It's
Okay, the thing that sparked the I actually read this article. The thing that sparked the walkout was like a 6-minute long scene or something where a dude aims a rifle at two children and blows their head up viscerally.
Yeah, Lars von Trier does stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, okay, that sounds like it's probably more about the children than the women. Then.
Well, it was a little bit of both. The thing is that what I've heard from like people coming out of Keynes, like specifically like specific people being like, I didn't want to see like women brutally mutilated, and that's what I've heard from like people. And
that seems like a weird thing though, because like serial killer movies are about that.
Yeah, and that's another thing of like this movie. It's like he puts like these viscerally graphic things on screen, like in Nymphomaniac and fucking Antichrist. The Antichrist specifically, there's a point where a woman smacks a dude's dick and jerks him off until he comes blood. Like by smacks a dude's dick, I mean smacks it with a brick, multiple times. Yeah. But yeah, that's just Lars von Trier. He's just a super huge edgelord, and like I was saying about fucking Refn, there was a scene in that movie where Ryan Gosling's character's mother dies and he like fists her wound in like a weirdly sexual way, and that like sparked a walkout, which I mean there was some worse shit that happened in the script that was cut out of that movie, and I thought that was going to be in the movie, but it wasn't.
My microphone is picking something up and I can't figure out what it is.
I don't know what it is. I can't hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear it. For sure.
It's not showing up, but I see it going like green there. So yeah, this is one of those things where people in Keynes are walking out because they don't like the subject matter of a movie, and this happens every I think like every other year. A lot of times Keynes is quiet, but sometimes super edgelord comes in and makes a super edgelord movie, and people in Keynes do not like it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Lars von Trier. A lot of people hate him. A lot of people love him. He's not the hill I'm going to die on, but I do like the idea of him making movies. I like the fact that he is like the kind of person he's just willing to do whatever the fuck he wants, and that's like great. But yeah, his movies are pretty damn good. He makes good films, The next thing is Toho is ditching Shin Godzilla 2 in favor of a fourth Godzilla cinematic universe. If you did not know this is the fourth time that they have made a Godzilla cinematic universe, and this is going to be a new era for Godzilla. The first one was the Shoujo Godzillas, then there was the Heisei, and then the Millennium series, which the Millenniums were really, really bad. And I hope that that it's good, but I don't know.
I feel like if anything makes
cinematic universe,
be a cinematic universe is something like Godzilla.
Yeah, especially because like they
They purposefully make all the monsters fight. So
yeah, it's like, again, Godzilla has been a cinematic universe for fucking years because they were doing the same thing that the Universal movies were doing, like however many years before that. But it is disappointing that because Shin Godzilla was fucking great and it left it off on sort of a cliffhanger that they could do something with. But
could have sworn that by the time I watched it, they were already doing something with it, and they just hadn't come out yet.
yeah,
But I guess not.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're dropping Hideaki Anno or like what the deal with that's gonna be. I don't know anything about this. This is just what they said. But Shin Godzilla being its own standalone movie, like sort of kind of like the original Godzilla was a little bit until they made all the sequels to it, like almost immediately after. But it's standing on its own. I kind of do like the idea of that because it was a very, very good. So yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on a second. Yep. That is one of those. Any thoughts about that before we move on?
That sucks.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I ever saw Shin Godzilla, so
Yeah.
It was
Well,
like incredible.
yeah, it was really, really.
I probably
good.
should because I've heard nothing but good things. I just haven't
Yeah.
watched it, whatever reason.
I would go so far to say, and this is someone who fucking loves Godzilla and has seen like pretty much every Godzilla movie. I would suggest it's like the best one since the original. It's really good.
Right.
So yeah, what is next on the roster?
Dude, I'm looking at this mixer and I can already tell that my audio is so trash this episode.
Oh
no.
no!
Well, that's not good.
I'm gonna have to see what it
Oh,
looks like
no.
later. I don't know. My mic keeps picking up something here and I can't figure it out.
Shoot.
Either that or it's picking something up, but it's not actually like on the recording.
It's
So I guess we'll
certainly not
see.
coming
Maybe
through
we're
Skype.
talking about nothing
Yeah.
right now. Who knows?
Yeah, I can't like I can't hear anything wrong with it, but
I definitively don't hear anything over Skype.
Or
well,
yeah,
just-
over
yeah.
Discord, but I don't know what's going through because it's an OBS problem. Whatever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right.
It's not.
Anyway,
I suppose that bridge is a bridge we'll come to. Next movie, Bradley Cooper and Clint Eastwood lead the mule. I don't know where they're leading it. I think they're somewhere out in the desert. I only linked this in the chat where we put our story so that I could make this joke.
I assume to water, but are they going to
assume-
make a drink?
Yeah. They're gonna try. Whether or not they will, we'll just have to wait and see when the mule comes out in theaters, whenever the fuck it's gonna come out in theaters.
Oh, that's where they're leading it to. They're leading it to the movie theater.
They're leading it to theaters.
This,
Next December or something.
This winter.
The mule comes to theaters. You can see him. He's on tour at your theater. You can pet him.
Can he get over his emotional problems, or will he still be a jackass?
what is this? A Vince Vaughn movie?
Yeah.
Also, look at how weird Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
He does.
They both look kind of weird.
What is going on? Well, I mean, Clint Eastwood just looks old. That's just how he is, right? But I don't know what's with Bradley Cooper's eyes here.
Look.
Wow. I don't know.
They look like bad like Men in Black alien suits. Okay, the next one, a first poster and a first announcement for the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie. A person who I've talked about on this podcast multiple times. He put out Killing the Sacred Deer, which is a movie I talked about on the podcast a while ago. It's really, really good. And The Lobster, and also Dogtooth. All those movies are great, and he's putting out a new one, which is a biopic about fucking, I think it's like the reign of Queen Anne, which what?
So there's some pretty fucking weird kimming going on here. I'm pretty sure the title is THE Favorite.
That's probably how someone in Yorgos Lanthimos' movie would pronounce it. Hi, I'm THE Favorite.
Okay.
I just had my period last week. Would you like to know about the candy corn I've been eating? I have a bag of it if you'd like to see.
His movies sound riveting.
and then like horrifying music plays, and you're just sitting there like, what the fuck is going on here? Something fucking wrong here, and then there is. So yeah, it's a movie about a frail Queen Anne who occupies the throne of her close friend, Lady Sarah. It's a biopic about Queen Anne, and you might think that's a little bit normal for a movie made by Yorgos Lanthimos, and I'm certain that he's not going to disappoint. He doesn't know how to make movies that are that. He's going to make a fucking weird ass movie
But then she turns into a panther.
Or a werewolf.
Or a werewolf.
And I hope it's a werewolf.
I don't. I expect.
Okay, is a werepanther really that bad though, Sane?
I guess I can tolerate a werepanther. That's okay.
Thel is sitting here like, you guys are totally fucking missing the point of this guy's movies. Fuck you. I can tell that's the words that are running through his mind right now.
So yeah, new movie, Yorgos Lanthimos.
Ooh.
I am excited, and that's all the movie stories there is. There are a bunch of movies that came out of Cannes that we'll probably be looking forward to, and that I'll talk about when I see them eventually. When I see them next year.
All right.
When they actually get released. Normal people see it.
Okay, so that's all the movie news. So I guess we'll head into some gaming news.
Oh boy.
Gaming news.
There's one here saying that you linked that I would like to introduce because I probably read more about it than you. I just didn't think to put it in the news.
Okay.
But I'll tell you. You know which one it is, I'm sure.
Yep, probably.
So go on.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I'll introduce this one first, I guess. So, unsurprising to most people, Tencent is now a majority shareholder. That's the unsurprising part in Grinding Gear Games, which is the developer of Path of Exile, which is a game that Thel and I both hold very dearly to our hearts and time.
And I think it's okay.
Yeah, and Sane thinks it's okay. He hasn't played it in like 10 years, so
yeah,
it's been like okay. 2.
Yeah, okay. It didn't come out 10 years ago. You know what I meant. But this, I don't know. People, like, a lot of people on the Path of Exile subreddit and things like that are like doomsaying, like, oh no, Path of Exile's fucking dead now. But like, anytime that Tencent becomes a majority shareholder in something, the only place that it noticeably affects is China. So like, it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah, like chance, like because a lot of times Tencent just buys things that are doing well. So
yeah,
that they can make
like
money.
like that's the reason that they buy things. They buy things that make a lot of money. Like they straight up own all of Riot Games, and League of Legends hasn't. Say what you will about League of Legends, but it hasn't actually changed for the worse since Tencent acquired them. So like
unless you hate loot boxes, I guess.
Unless you hate loot boxes, but even then, like I really don't feel like that was a 10-cent change. I think that was just like they decided.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But if anything,
and what I think a lot of people
all I was saying is like that's the only notably bad or like arguably bad thing that I've heard from Riot Games at all in the last like couple years. So
it's not as egregious as even most loot boxes because you can straight up earn keys through games, so it's not even as bad as Team Fortress 2 where you'll get a loot drop and then have to buy a key, you know.
Well, sure.
But yeah, I see your point. Like that is possibly a 10-cent change, but what people keep saying is like, oh well, I don't want to buy the supporter packs anymore because now that they're owned by a company that's giving them money, they don't need the money. And it's like, what? Are you serious, dude? Did you really buy the supporter packs solely to support the developers of Path of Exile?
Well, some people do think that way.
Yeah, some people do.
I guess, but part of the cool shit about the supporter packs is like it gives you all kinds of cool in-game microtransactions at a huge discounted price. Like I don't know, like there's not really.
Sometimes I buy the soundtrack to a game that I don't care about.
Yeah, I mean, I've done stuff like that.
I don't care about the soundtrack or whatever because
like,
I care about the game.
I've bought like 12 copies of Night in the Woods or something for various people and the soundtrack and all that stuff. I've bought a lot of shit relating to Night in the Woods. So like I kind of get it, but like if Night in the Woods were a big budget production, I probably still would have done, and it were exactly the same, which it may not have been if it were a big.
Well, maybe you would have, but I definitely I go out of my way to. I would.
Yeah.
Far Cry.
That's fair. I get it.
I mean, maybe you don't, but I definitely know that people think that way.
Yeah.
And I've done stuff like that myself. So.
But like, I don't know. It's just weird how people are doomsaying about it. I really don't feel anything is going to change. So here's one thing that they said that this is the one thing that they foreseeably see Tencent affecting. Tencent might request features to be added to the Chinese servers, and they will be adding those features to the Chinese servers because Tencent says so. And if those features are good, they will put them on international servers. If they are not good, they will stay exclusive to the Chinese servers until Tencent says get rid of them. So, like, the only thing that really it could affect is like they might have some decent ideas come to the international servers from the Chinese servers.
That's surprisingly flexible for a company like that.
Yeah.
Although I think that in most cases Tencent seems to be willing to let other companies.
Yeah, exactly. The way that Tencent often operates is they'll buy a majority share in a company because the company is doing good. They're like and they know that it would be stupid to like totally change up the infrastructure of the company because they bought that company when they were independent and doing really good and making a lot of money. So if they like put their meddly little fingers in everything, they might stop doing good and making money. They want the developers to just print money for them without them having to do anything.
Yeah, or they they would make changes that make sense for or not a Chinese market that doesn't make sense for a North American market because they don't understand the market as well. So,
yeah, right.
There are reasons why Tencent wouldn't want to be too hands-on with things.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's probably not a big deal.
So yeah, it's not. I don't feel like it's going to change anything.
I think that the bigger issue with Tencent buying them is or buying a majority stake anyway. Same issue Thel has with Disney.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's true.
So I'm thinking about it on a more global level than Path of Exile, which I don't think they'll suddenly ruin. So
yeah,
right.
I mean, and I can understand why there's a little bit of fear coming out of this, just because of the fact that like Path of Exile has one of the best monetary systems because it's purely it's
purely aesthetic.
Yeah,
and then stash tabs, which is like I feel like stash tabs are kind of important.
It's either convenience or cosmetic.
Yeah. And the game is purely it's not held up on that. Like you're not grinding for anything that like you can get in a cash shop. The game is like it survives because it's just a good ass game.
Exactly.
Why don't you introduce the next topic, Phil?
Okay.
I'm sorry if you wanted to say something else.
Sure.
No, that's fine. I'm good. I don't usually get to do these. Pokemon. No, that's not the next one. The next one. These motherfuckers could not wait for E3. Stalker 2, baby. Fucking Stalker 2. We got Stalker 2 coming through. It's coming the fuck through. If you don't know what Stalker is, it is a very old first-person shooter RPG set in the based off of the book, similar to the movie about the stalkers and set in the same universe with like the zone and everything.
Set in the Chernobyl
cinematic universe.
No, the zone refers to the Chernobyl exclusion zone.
Which I think that is a very important thing to mention when talking about this game.
Yeah, that is like extremely important. That's kind of the whole setting.
Oh,
are you okay?
Well, here's the thing. In the book and the movie is like the book and the movie are a sci-fi movie where the zone is something more like how Annihilation had all that shit going on. The zone was something like that. It was weird.
Oh yeah,
no. So what? Have you never played Stalker?
No, I have.
The game?
Yeah,
yes, it's more than just the Chernobyl like radiation thing,
but like
that is a major part of it in location.
A stalker is like one of the people who can like navigate through the zone through like you know how there's in Stalker there's all those like blips and stuff of like
Yeah.
radiation will just kill you.
Yeah.
Like a stalker is the kind of person who can like go into the zone and knows it well enough.
Stalker refers to different types of people and what they do. I'm not sure what it stands for, but each letter in Stalker refers to something like.
I think it's something in Russian.
Yeah.
No, it's
It isn't?
definitely. Yeah, Stalker act.
But anyway, the
Yeah.
only reason I bring that up is because whether or not it actually like there are sci-fi elements in there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that it's just important to mention that it's the Chernobyl exclusion
Yeah,
zone
yeah.
because that says a lot about the setting.
It is a very Russian game.
Yeah,
It's fucking incredible.
it is.
I just hope it works better. And also, I think it's kind of odd to name it Stalker 2 because I believe this is the third one, isn't it?
This is
It's the fourth one.
Yeah.
There's been a
Shadow of
Stalker, Clear
Chernobyl
Sky,
and Paper.
Yes,
Papriat. Those
Shadow of
are-
Chernobyl.
Call of Pripyat,
Yeah,
Shadow
Call
of
Pripyat,
Chernobyl,
and
and
Clear Sky.
Clear Sky.
Yeah, Clear Sky was the second one.
Which notably Clear Sky and Clear Sky, Shadow of Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat refer to different locations in the game,
Yeah.
but Clear Sky is one of the factions. So
Yeah.
I only played
Well-
Shadow of Chernobyl, so I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, but I think they were still like sequels technically. Maybe
Yeah,
not
they
of the
were
same
sequels.
characters.
Basically, yes.
They were sequels. It's possible that they're naming it Stalker 2 because they were sequels in the same way that like Mountain Blade Napoleonic Wars was a sequel, or not Napoleonic Wars. What was the Fire
Warband?
and Sword was a
Yeah, Fire and
no,
Sword,
yeah,
yeah.
Fire and Sword. There's Mountain Blade Warband, and there's Mountain Blade with Fire and Sword. And all three of those are in the exact same engine. All they've done is change around names.
Well, Call of
and stuff like
Pripyat
that.
is definitely a different engine from, or at least an
Really?
upgraded engine from.
Hmm.
I remember
Maybe.
because it was buggier and
I
more
see.
unstable.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, in that case, I'm not sure, but it is a little weird to call it Stalker 2 when it's the fourth game. But
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely
whatever.
a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this means that it's an actual sequel to
Shadow of
Shadow of
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, then, because I think that's the big one. That's the one that people think about when they think about Stalker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. The other two were pretty ignorable.
If I remember right, like Clear Sky was pretty ignorable, but Pure Prat was pretty good.
Right.
I heard it was okay. I just remember it being buggy from when I played.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Stalker games are pretty buggy too.
No, I
That's
mean
true.
that
Yeah.
one was like almost non-functional compared to
Mm.
Shadow of Chernobyl, from what I remember.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
played
know, I
I
don't
played
know
a
if
little
I'll
of
ever
them,
find a
but they
game that is as buggy as Vampire the Masquerade.
Well,
I mean,
Buggiest game I've
would
ever
not.
played
Yeah,
all the way through.
I feel like
Well-
it's almost on the same level though.
yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a reason that when people talk about Shadow of Chernobyl, they just call it Stalker, and it's because that's the one that everybody knows you're referring to. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's going to be talking about Call of Pripyat or Clear Sky unless they say Call of Pripyat or Clear
Clear
Sky.
Sky, yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing Pripyat wrong.
We're not Russian. I
Yeah,
don't know if
it's
you knew
true.
that,
Yeah, unfortunately.
or
What I would
fortunately,
give
depending on how
some
you
sort
look
of
at it.
Weird Russian spy who does nothing but shitpost on Tumblr all day. I do that anyway, but no one's paying me.
No, Pripyat is right. Okay.
Anyway, so let's move on to the next story, because I think that's new Stalker. Cool.
Yeah, new stock.
Nice.
Exciting.
Now it's a
So-
race to see if they release it before Bannerlord.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a history lesson first, because needed here. So Infinity Ward, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare dev team.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years,
Infinity Ward.
Infinity Ward, yes.
Yes.
You know Infinity Ward, the Call of Duty dev team?
They assembled all of the Chaos Emeralds in order to create Modern Warfare.
Anyway, so
For the fourth
over
time, I'm
over the
gonna
last
create
like
Modern Warfare. Yeah, go on.
over the last like 5-10 years, they've been slowly losing talent. A bunch of major ex Infinity Ward people all left at once to found Respawn, the company that made Titanfall. But then Titanfall and Titanfall 2 kind of got shafted by EA. Well, it looks like now a bunch of the Titanfall people are leaving, or a lot of the original Infinity Ward members are leaving Respawn and going back to Infinity Ward. So now the next Call of Duty developed by Infinity Ward, like people that made Modern Warfare 4 or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So while we're not super into Call of Duty, that is kind of a huge development.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah. And I mean, I gotta say something. Hey, EA, when there's a point when people leave Call of Duty and then go to you and then go back to Call of Duty,
that says something.
What the fuck are you doing?
Actually, the first Respawn was only published by EA, or the first Titanfall was only published by EA, and then the second one, I don't know, maybe the first two were, but then EA bought Respawn, something like that. Because I think EA, like, it really seems like EA intentionally sabotaged Titanfall 2. They put it up in the same week as Battlefield, I think.
Yeah, especially because Titanfall 2 was like a really, really, really good game.
It was really well received. It just sold like crap. So
well, I guess that means the game is shit. You guys fucking, your company doesn't work, but you put us against like the game that you were releasing. It's your fault. Fuck you.
Anyway,
and that's what EA seems to do a lot.
No, it was more like, oh, you mean you didn't sell well and you need money? We could just buy you, even though we like made it that way. Anyway, so the next piece of news, this is kind of a, well, I don't know, depending on how you feel about this may or may not be a minor thing. Tomorrow, May 22nd, Overwatch is launching their anniversary event, and with that event, they're adding a new map which is
called. I'm sorry, you cut out on Discord. I don't know if you cut out on the recording, but it's called Petra, just in case anybody didn't hear that.
Yeah, Petra. Well, I don't think it would be. I would cut out on the recording, but yeah, called Petra, and it seems to be like Egyptian or maybe Greek based, because I don't know, like looking at some of these screenshots, it seems
looks a little bit Sumerian.
Yeah, I don't know. There seems to be some sort of.
It looks like Greco-Roman architecture, but it definitely looks like an Africa kind of desert place.
Yeah, but then they have images with like a sphinx, which is definitely like an Egyptian thing. So well, I mean, they also had sphinxes in Greek, but it's different.
And it is a new deathmatch map.
Yes, that's important to note. It's new deathmatch map. It is not a new.
Oh, I didn't realize that part. Well. No.
So that makes it a little even more minor. It's only for people who really care about the deathmatch mode, but deathmatch can be fun.
Which seems pretty popular. Seems relatively popular, so there you go. And it's launching with the anniversary event, so that's cool.
Yeah, which is coming up.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Because it's Tuesday, and that's when they do that.
Yep.
Okay, so this next one. Actually, let's skip this one. Do that one last.
Okay.
Tell me about the Pokemon thing, Dalsson.
So this is the rumor mill. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. So you just sounded like someone's grandma there. So tell me about the Pokemon thing.
Yeah, right.
What are these Pokemon?
What are these Pokemans?
Well, what is the Pokemans? What are the Pokemans up to these days?
So
is Pikachu still on?
So this is kind of a rumor mill section, basically.
Why?
The only official piece is that the game shows up in Nintendo's financials with a placeholder name that calls it Pokemon RPG for Nintendo Switch.
Oh, now, there's actually another piece of news I read elsewhere.
Oh, really? Okay, well,
let me just say this real quick. Nintendo or Pokemon Company or Nintendo, I'm not sure which one. Bought two domain names. One is called like Evo something, and then the other one's Pikachu.
Oh, did they buy those domain games? Okay, that's a little more substantial. So it's called Pokemon this is what it seems that the titles will be: Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Edition and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee Edition. It's kind of interesting that they're paying a lot of mind to Eevee recently, even though like everybody loves Eevee, but they've never used it really as a mascot so much as Pikachu is the mascot, right?
Seems like more and more over time that's been the case.
Yeah, exactly. So they've just kind of been selling Eevee really hard, but I'm pretty sure that's just because everybody loves Eevee. So it seems that it has a couple of features such as that people like from older Pokemon games, such as now this is getting to the rumor mill section, so don't take any of this as substantially evidenced, but such as things like letting your Pokemon walk around with the trainers, right?
Yeah.
And supposedly it could be a remake of Pokemon Yellow, but not like a direct remake. It would just follow the storyline of Pokemon Yellow. That's why people are thinking this, because it's called Pikachu and Eevee, and those are the starters in Pokemon Yellow. Like, all of this is very unsubstantiated. Pretty much all we have is a name.
I mean, that doesn't seem legit to me at all.
Exactly.
That seems weird.
Remember that like shadow of, I think it was like Oshawott or whatever, where they drew this fucking duck Pokemon with like an acorn on its head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think Eevee was a starter. I think they gave it to you.
Yeah, they gave it. No, so in Pokemon Yellow, you had to select Pikachu, and your rival Blue would always select Eevee.
No, but you got an.
Yeah, you got an Eevee later on from Bill, but so he wasn't a starter for you, but he was the starter for your rival.
Yeah, I just don't see that. Like, that seems like a stretch to me.
People are theorizing that things might be like the capture system might be more similar to Pokemon Go because of the name Pokemon Let's Go, but I don't know. That seems weird. Like,
that also seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound like rumors, more as like baseless speculation.
Yeah, speculation.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was saying like Pokemon Pikachu Go, and it's getting that fucking song from the beginning of the English dub of My Neighbor Totoro stuck in my fucking head again after 20 goddamn years. This motherfucking "Hey Let's Go" song is never gonna leave me.
But now let's actually think about this. The Pokemon Switch was confirmed at one point, I believe, to be a mainline Pokemon game.
It's been said over and over that it is.
Yeah.
They can't. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. They refer to it as a core Pokemon RPG title, which means that it should be the successor to Sun and Moon. So they can't really shake it up that much. Sun and Moon, let's be honest, shook up Pokemon more than any previous entry in the Pokemon game.
X and Y.
Period.
Well,
no, but it
guess.
totally followed a different plot line and story and everything. You're not even going through gyms or anything. Like, you're the first challenger of the new Pokemon League that they've just established.
I mean, I guess, but it feels it feels like that it was just gyms by another
sort
name.
Of almost minor, yeah.
Well, it wasn't though, because you instead of a gym leader, you had a boss battle. Like, you fought one strong Pokemon that you couldn't possibly have gotten. So
I think that's a very minor distinction, but I mean, that's just an argument.
Yeah, well, I mean, either way, it did shake up more than most games,
yes, for sure.
Yeah. So but I don't think they could shake it up that bad. They couldn't shake it up to make like capturing systems like fucking Pokemon Go or anything. That would be ridiculous. You know?
Oh, I don't
to
think
call
they
it
would.
a mainline Pokemon game. Exactly.
The thing about Pokemon Go is that like they chose that capture system as like not because that's what they wanted to do, but because that's sort of what they had to do under the circumstances. Like,
exactly.
But plus those choices were being made by Niantic.
Exactly. So like I don't see where these rumors are totally like baseless.
Well, I feel like there's like solid things here, like the names and the domains and stuff. I think anything about what it's actually going to be about, that just seems like speculation. And there's it doesn't even seem any of this is like attributed to any.
Yeah. I feel as though the taking place in Kanto is plausible, just because they've like all of the Alolan form Pokemons were all Kanto stuff, and they reference Kanto over and over and over again in Sun and Moon. But even then, like it's still arguable. It's one of those things. Like you'll have to wait and see. Maybe they were
Also-
teasing at it. Maybe they just want to build the world to be more interconnected.
Also, I think that it is notable to look at the history. The last time they like remade Red and Blue was Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Right.
So it wouldn't be too weird to like
Yeah.
more recently. I just think that the Yellow remake thing seems weird to me. Like I don't know.
I
why
don't
they
know
would
like
do that.
where that's coming from.
Yeah.
It would seem that more like if they followed the pattern, it would be more likely that they remade Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but they're unlikely to do that because those are still cross-compatible with the newer games. Although you
Right,
have to
which is
jump through
why-
loopholes.
Which is why Red and Blue would make sense.
Right.
Or I guess Yellow and Brown,
Yellow and brown, yeah.
whatever we're calling it. I don't know. I think that
Well,
that's.
they're,
I feel
they're
like that's just
definitely
it.
called Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we know that they're, and it's going to be some form of core RPG, so it could be. I don't know. I feel like it could still be a spin-off, but it would probably just be more of an RPG than the other ones. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's hard to say, like, in terms of like translation, and there's a lot of things up in the air that could go different
Right.
places.
Oh, one thing that is of note is that some of these rumors of it being less like mainline Pokemon games come from the fact that the first Pokemon title on each new system has always had a history of experimenting. Like for example, the first Pokemon title I believe on the Game Boy Advance was not Ruby and Sapphire, but it was Pokemon Spinball. And then the first one on the 3DS was Pokemon Rumble, and not a main Pokemon game. So like it's possible that it's not going to be a mainline Pokemon game, but it will have the core RPG mechanics. That might be what they mean when they say that.
I
But
don't know. It
Yeah.
depends on what they think is constitutes a core Pokemon game. It probably won't be
Yeah.
a Spinball, but I feel like it would be odd to remake.
Unless they count
Have an
Spinball
alternate
as
version.
the mainline core Pokemon.
I don't think they do. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that even
I
that
wouldn't even think that
translates.
they would count something like Mystery Dungeon as a mainline Pokemon game, and that's certainly closer than something like Pokemon Rumble or Spinball.
Even Rumble, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so this is the last piece of news that probably gonna have to have some sort of conversation about because it's a bit more complicated than other news stories.
Yeah.
So
I already have my feelings on it pretty hammered out, so
yeah, me too. But see how this shakes out. I think that we're in a similar boat with this. But so Valve has suddenly started pulling a bunch of like visual novels that are quote unquote adult, but they're basically everything that they're pulling has already been censored or didn't have actual explicit sex in it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like the most notable one, the one that people talk about the most when they talk about the subject, has been Honey Pop, because that game was very kind of oddly controversial when it came out, and it was kind of a almost a parody of dating sims and this puzzle mechanic that was actually like legitimately fun. And these are games that they went through a rigorous process of being allowed on Steam on the first place because they were already kind of in sort of a riskier territory than some other games.
Mhm.
But they had been put on, they were allowed, and they had been on Steam for, in Honey Pop's case, 3 years, more than 3 years.
I would like to say in Honey Pop's case, this is actually an update at the top of the article that they linked. Honey Pop was, let's see, where was it?
I'll just do it.
Okay, yeah.
Honey Pop has actually tweeted out that Valve has issued a statement directly to them in an email talking about disregarding previous emails about violations because they're apparently not accurate, and so now they're re-reviewing the game, and Valve will
follow up, and they've also done this with games for Lupisoft and Manga Gamer. Have put out a lot of visual novels, though notably both of them have uncensored patches on their websites as well.
Right.
Not in Manga Gamer's case though. Actually, Manga Gamer sells adult versions of the ones they put on Steam, so it's not like a patch. It's like you have to actually buy them.
Right.
But the ones on Steam aren't like are censored versions of those games. So can't even say that there's like a lot of sex and nudity in them, because most of the time there like isn't.
Right.
And people are talking a lot about games like Witcher and Mass Effect. Yeah, and Grand Theft Auto. Well, Mass Effect, Grand Theft Auto, and Witcher are all specifically games that like have sex scenes in them or nudity in them, but because they're larger games, they're not getting.
The focal point of the game is not try to get with the girl and have sex.
See, that seems to be what people are speculating the line is, but Valve has, as always, been super silent about what the actual line is. They've never been very clear at communicating what is going on with them. So, it seems like the reason why a lot of this has come about is because a group called the National Center on Sexual Exploitation has been in the past as moral majority, or wait, no, it's media, morality in media. They posted a blog saying "Victory: Steam to remove sexually explicit and violent video games from platform," which, again, just not true. So they have been doing like a 2-year campaign, basically targeting Steam for having games that they find are against the media morality, I guess. And this is a group that sprang out of Jerry Falwell's Moral Majority campaign decades ago, which I'm not familiar with, but maybe you are. And they've also been backers of recent FOSTA and SESTA acts, which have other implications on just general internet stuff. And those are passed recently, and that's why a lot of things like Craigslist doesn't have personal sections and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like really vague language in it that is not super clear about what's going on. So FOSTA and SESTA is its own thing, but because they're kind of tangibly related to this group called National Center on Sexual Exploitation, which sounds more official than it probably kind of is.
Just because of the national part.
Yeah. You can call yourself whatever you want. We could be the National Graveyard Media Podcast if we want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we are. For all we know.
I'm sorry, the National Grave Digger Media Podcast, Zane?
The official Grave Digger Media Podcast.
Don't say that. We might get in trademark violations. True. That's not what we want.
Oh yeah,
I'll just put a space in the middle of it.
Here's what we gotta do. Hold on. Let me just fucking
the National Gravy Media Podcast.
Let me just make us the National Graveyard Media Podcast. Hey yo, yeah, President Trump. Yeah, you want Big T? Can we be like the National Graveyard Media Podcast? Yes.
What's that? You don't care? All right.
You don't give a single shit? Oh, well, okay, cool.
So
let me yo, put the Secretary of Health on. Yo, all right, yeah.
And while some of these games are definitely censored versions of adult
flat out porn games.
There are ones like Kindred Spirits, which sexual content in that game is no more explicit than games like Dragon Age or Witcher. So this actually
makes me really, really sad.
Oh, what did you do?
You break your cup?
Oh no!
Oh no! You like broke it in half.
That's your Graveyard Media cup.
Well, if I can find all the pieces, I can put it back.
That sucks.
Okay.
Yeah, that really does.
For people listening to just the audio, which I don't know where he would be doing that. Thel broke his cup in half.
Yeah.
His official Graveyard Media TM cup.
Stop saying official and TM on things, unless they're actually official and have TMs on things, please. Anyway.
Get sued by Viacom.
Yeah, we're gonna be sued by that company that makes that coffee cup. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Thankfully,
Anyway,
it broke into like 3 pieces, so we can just glue it back together.
That sucks.
Hot glue it
Okay.
back together.
so yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is a rule that has existed. Like, it's not like they suddenly made a new rule and then pulled things that were in violation of this rule that they just made. This is a rule that has existed, and they've approved it because they're like, let's let it slide. And this isn't something that's specific to this particular rule, but I feel like if a rule exists and you try to skirt the rules, even if you get it approved and you skirt around it, like, it shouldn't be a huge surprise when they decide to start enforcing a rule.
But
right?
I don't think you're skirting around a rule when you go through a lengthy review process and have been on the platform for multiple years, and it's only because they just kind of did a mass thing that they suddenly decided to reinterpret the way a rule is enforced. That's not the same thing. Like,
My biggest
I don't
problem
think they
is just with Valve being incredibly vague about it.
Yeah.
Well,
the best we have is like emails that developers have shared, or
Yeah.
publishers, I guess, have shared with people, and that's kind of
yes,
hard to go by.
I don't know. It's like most of what I'm hearing about this is people are mad that, and this is the wording that I'm hearing, that Steam is suddenly enforcing their rules about this. Now that paints a totally different picture to me than Steam has decided to do this. It's Steam is enforcing a rule that they have had existing. So
But
like
it's not as if
but a lot of things that went through Steam Greenlight, all they had to do was pay $100 to get there. They removed Greenlight, and it's like now you can put whatever schlock you want on Steam to.
I don't think that's the same thing that's happening here. Again, these games did go through the process the first time. They've been there for
Oh,
years.
not all of them. Like take
They did.
Melty's Quest. That is a flat out porn game. If you don't uncensor it, it's just like you cut out half of the game. It's nothing but porn.
Well, it's
That's
still
all
an
it
RPG.
Is. Yeah, it's still an RPG.
Because
but
the
it's
combat
still,
mechanics are
like,
totally separated from
and-
the sex like content in the game. And like,
Right.
yeah, I agree with
I'm
you, but
almost
I don't
certain
think
that
that's.
all they did was pay $100 to get their game onto Steam. Like,
I mean,
I'm
but
not
that doesn't matter because it's still a video game. There's worse garbage on Steam than Melty's Quest, even uncensored or even censored.
Right. But if they want to take pornography off of their platform and they've had a rule existing that says that they don't want it there.
But the form that Melty's Quest is on Steam, like unmodded, is a censored game. There's no pornography in Honey Pop, no porn in Melty's Quest, because you have to go through additional steps to modify your game files to make it a porn game. With this same logic, Skyrim could be considered a porn game.
It's true. But like I guess my main hang up is the fact is basically the wording that everybody is using. Steam suddenly tries to enforce this rule. Steam is enforcing this rule.
But the reason why people
now
are making
enforcing.
the reason why people are using this language is because they don't know what Valve is saying.
Yeah.
Valve isn't saying anything, so they're making up their own reasons why that could be happening.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
it's not like they're suddenly enforcing a rule that's always been there. They're changing how the rule is interpreted on games that
how
have
it's
been there on the
enforced.
platform for years.
Enforced,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's mostly just that it's like
It's
kind
not
of
like
weird.
it's not like
See, my
it's not the same thing as it's not being enforced. It's being reinterpreted. They're two different
Yeah.
things.
right. See, like I'm really okay. When I'm trying to go through this, I want to say, just to be transparent, I have no problem with flat out porn being on Steam. Just uncensor all it. Don't go through the fucking steps to patch it. I don't care. I don't care if there's porn on Steam. I don't care if you have these eroge visual novels, whatever. It's like they're video games, just sell them. It's fine. But if Steam does care, suddenly, like maybe they've seen just an increase in these types of games being put onto their platform, and they want to try to reduce it.
Actually, the
I
rumor is
don't know
external
what.
pressure from people.
Right, external.
People like this company or this
foundation,
National Center for
But
Sexual Violence or whatever.
That's also something that like a company does have to consider. It's not like they can just totally ignore external pressure, because it like a company like that trying to pressure you into doing something like that could cause damage for them. I don't know if it will.
Maybe,
I don't know
but
if this small fucking company or this, I don't know how big they are. I don't know if this company that all three of us have never heard of, at least, really will damage them, but from their point of view, it probably could.
Well,
So,
if that were the case, then why did suddenly Steam start backpedaling and then are re-reviewing a bunch of the games that have been on their thing forever?
well,
It
how long
seems
have
like-
they been pressured by that company?
Well, around 2 years, roundabout, I guess. That's at least from their perspective. That's how long they've said their campaign has been going on. But like, the problem with this whole thing is not, if there was a clear like judgment that we're reclassifying how being interpreted, and they put out some sort of statement, that would have been different than just, without saying for any reason why, pulling dozens of games off Steam.
Yeah.
Like, if I would not be upset with this whole situation if they had just made a clear statement about what they were doing, but because they're just suddenly doing things and then backpedaling, this is just like the fact that they're sending Honey Pop and other companies emails saying, we were wrong about your specific games, so we're re-reviewing them right now. That just adds further confusion, because it's like, well, is Honey Pop good then? Is it bad then? Like, what?
Yeah, and it's like, if you're going to be a developer and like release a game on Steam, you're gonna be like sitting there like, what? So in that case, is my game good? Hey Steam, what can I do to make my game good? Fucking, can you answer my question? Hello? Hey, can I get some transparent business practices over here, my man?
It's okay. Let's take a step back and look at something like, what is the difference between Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac and Poor Little White Boy 3? One of them is explicit pornography, and one of them is a movie made for art. And that's it. Both of them are basically pornography, but
also, Poor Little White Boy 3 does not have a plot.
Yeah, Poor Little White Boy 3 doesn't have a plot, or it probably does, but it only I've never fucking seen it. But
its production values are higher. It's made more like a film was made. It was produced more like a film was produced.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Like, Melty's Quest, for example, is made. That's the only one that I can think of that comes to mind. Is made in RPG Maker, and the plot exists solely to deliver pornography to you. That is the only reason to exist. There is no reason to play it without the porn. Honey Pop, on the other hand, has like a story, and it's produced.
You could make the literal same argument about Honey Pop. It's really the like, it's just a whole like an. It's just a matter of how you interpret it and where the line is for you individually, because I think that Melty's Quest had more of a story than Honey Pop did.
Yeah, and not only that, the biggest problem is not necessarily that, like, it's not like where you personally differentiate, it's where does fucking Valve differentiate, because they refuse to tell anyone.
Like, if this was just a clarification on the rule, you can't have officially sanctioned mods that, you know, uncensor a bunch of stuff. Like, that would be a clear line that you could cross or not. But as like, where we're at, yes, a lot of those games that were pulled off are straight up porn games that have censored patches. That's true. But Honey Pop was also pulled on there, and as well as just other visual novels that don't actually have porn in them. So, like, where are we? Where are we with any of it? Because we just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, this whole situation just is fucking stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like how I get that Valve is a privately owned company and make their own decisions about this sort of thing. I just don't understand how they can make such a huge decision and wipe just like dozens of games off of their service without any kind of statement, and then suddenly backpedal on it not even a week later. You know?
And to me, it almost feels like they were fucking rolling the dice on this shit. Like they were trying to see whether or not that would work, or whether or not like the thing we were talking about with Bethesda earlier, whether or not they'd be able to get away with it, right?
It just seems weird because no matter how this goes down, they've already Valve has already lost the argument.
Yeah.
Because if their ultimate goal was to, comply with tighter restrictions on sex or whatever, then they would have followed through fully and been very clear about what their rules are, and not a week later start talking to companies like Manga Gamer or publishers like Manga Gamer, who is one of the companies that does port games and then with uncensored patches. So I just don't see how such a huge gigantic company can be so bad at PR.
Yeah,
it just makes no sense.
But that's the thing. It isn't that they're putting out bad PR statements for themselves. They're just not putting out.
No, silence is just as bad PR as saying something stupid.
Yeah.
Saying nothing is almost worse.
Yeah. Because I mean, that implies that
at this point they know that everybody has heard about it. So
it seems like either way you went, either you pissed off the people wanted these rules in the first place because you backpedal on them, or you burn all of these people, all these customers, for something that they're not even gonna actually follow through with. So it's Valve just needs to get their shit together. People complain about how filled up Steam is with bullshit games, garbage, literal garbage, right? Yeah. And that's never been something that I cared about. I feel like
because it's
from my perspective,
I can just not buy that,
Yeah.
From my perspective, it isn't Steam's job to highlight what's good and what's bad. That's our job.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we're doing right here.
That's what we as consumers are supposed to do.
Well, I mean, people media people who actually go through a lot of these games.
Yeah.
We're the ones who, that's the service that we provide. It's not Steam's job to, pick
filter trash.
Yeah, filter trash. I mean, it helps them on their end to make it easier for you to find stuff you enjoy. But ultimately, they're just a store that sells things, and fucking Walmart sells some pretty garbage toys too.
Yeah, or Amazon. What's the first thing you do when you want to know if something's going on Amazon? You go down to the user reviews, right?
Yeah. And scroll past all of the peanut butter that they're recommending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amazon's algorithm is obviously not that good because you didn't even buy that can of peanut butter.
Yeah, I looked at a 55-gallon drum of peanut butter, and Amazon was like, wow, this guy really likes peanut butter. Let's recommend him peanut butter for the next 7 years.
So, it's not... I'm not one of those people who subscribe to the idea Steam is the person. Yeah, it's their fault that they have trash on their service, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they could do a good job filtering it or helping people find good stuff, but ultimately, it's a big pool. People are gonna find what they want. I feel like it only serves people better if more things are on Steam.
Right.
Because then it gives the actual people who buy games all of the choices on what they want to do. If they want to buy a trash game on Steam, and they are properly informed about whether or not it's trash, then that's their choice. Go ahead. And it's not like my inconvenience for having to scroll through a couple more pages of garbage is Steam's fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because what you start to do when you nitpick too much about what games are allowed and what games aren't, then you start potentially losing major games. What if Undertale didn't make it to Steam because someone saw the pixel art and thought it looked bad?
Thought it looked, this is an RPG Maker game. Yeah, they would have lost probably billions of fucking dollars.
I don't think it's
Or
made
lost
billion,
out,
but million. Yeah,
whatever.
like
They would have lost
millions
out
of copies
on
were
millions
sold.
of dollars.
Yeah.
So like, from Steam's perspective, they want to be a little bit loose with the floodgates because it makes sense from their.
Yeah.
And I don't think so. I think Steam has its problems, but I think this is like the actual problem Valve has always had in communication.
Yeah.
And
it's
that
true.
that is what this story is, right? Is Valve messed up their communication again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll keep paying attention to it. Maybe something will happen, maybe something won't. We'll try to keep the story updated as some things shake out,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like right now I'm just really frustrated with it.
Oh, I would like to add something quick. If you are one of those people who goes and buys pornography games on Steam to show all your friends that you're playing some porn, and you have them sitting in your Steam library, those are not being removed. Anytime that Valve pulls a game from the Steam store, it is pulled from the game's Steam store. But if you own that game, you are still able to install and play it through Steam. So
Yeah.
if you want to keep playing Honey Pop or Mirror or Sakura, anything, you can keep doing that. That's fine. It's if you own it and you're not going to lose your game. You're not going to lose out on the money you've already spent.
Right.
So that is a good note.
And if you don't want people to turn off the public thing, actually it's off by default now.
Yeah.
People won't know what horrible games.
Or
you're
you can
playing.
just not buy them on Steam. That would probably be a better idea.
Yeah.
You could also do that. But that information isn't public by default anymore, so that's up to you,
And if
buddy.
you want it to be public, go ahead and go to your Steam store and
Or
turn it
maybe you
on.
don't want it to be public, but you want all your friends to know. I think that's actually the default setting on Steam. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's basically our show today.
Yep.
I'm
That's it.
sorry, last week's episode of the podcast is probably an entire week late. I'm going to try to upload that tonight, but I've been moving, so that's why my audio is trash and why
Also, why your room is different now.
my room is different and
Hi,
has
Nick and
no
Judy.
furniture, and I guess there's stuffed animals over there.
They're hanging out. They're here.
They're holding hands.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of
So
lewd
I'm gonna try to
things.
upload that today,
Wow.
and I'll try to get this episode uploaded by Wednesday. That's my plan. What else is coming up on the channel? Do you have anything coming out this week, though?
No. I'm gonna be out of town this week. Unfortunately, I don't have anything planned for this week.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
your scheduled upload week, but
That's
that is
fine.
okay.
Are you gonna be off the podcast next week?
I
know?
probably will. I probably won't be showing up for the podcast.
Okay, that's fine. And Dalsson, what games are you streaming this week?
Man, okay, so I made a lot of progress in the forest in like 1 single hour today. I'm probably gonna keep going on the forest. Next Monday before the podcast, it's likely that I'll purchase a new game to try out because that's what I've kind of wanted to be doing with Mondays is buy a new game and preview it before the podcast so I have something to talk about. As far as other streams, probably the forest.
You could do that
I
on
don't
Friday
know.
and then have the whole weekend to try it.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know what else we'll have. What we'll be doing on Thursday night. I don't even know if Thel. Are you going to be here on Thursday?
I don't know. I think Thursday is the day I'm going down.
Okay, yeah. So
probably
we'll find something to do on Thursday night. But other than that, single player wise, I'm probably going to be doing more of the forest. See if I can get any progress in that.
Sounds good. And then we should have stuff like Little Nightmares and all that stuff going up still, right?
Yeah, those
Yeah.
should be.
Maybe
continued
we can
upload.
pre-schedule some of those. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, and remember,
Stay beautiful.
there you
Dalsson
go.
took you a minute there, my man.
Okay, later.